Hello students, today we will start with non-probability sampling. Yesterday we have seen the probability sampling technique. So non-probability sampling technique is another method of selecting sample for our research. In this method, there is no opportunity, equal opportunity is not given for all the elements in the population to get selected in the research. So there are different types of non-probability sampling. First method is convenient sampling technique. It is also called as accidental sampling technique. So what we are doing in this method, the researcher is selecting the sample by his own convenience. Based on his convenient time, based on his convenient place, the investigator can able to collect the sample very easily. For example, I am doing the research. I am going to get the consumer's feedback about a product. For example, a mobile phone. That mobile phone features, how it is performing. I want to get the survey. So what I am doing, I am going to a mall at 9 o'clock and I am collecting sample from the consumers who are all visiting the mall from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. who is having that particular mobile phone. So whoever is having that mobile phone, I call and I ask them feedback about that phone. So this is the convenient sampling technique. So accidentally the researcher meets the sample in the place. So this is very easy method for collecting very large number of sample in very less time. Next thing is this convenience sample is not at all expensive. It is very inexpensive and it needs very less time to select more number of samples. Okay. And also it does not require a sampling frame. So we know what is sampling frame. For selecting sample using convenient sampling technique, sampling frame is not needed because we are taking the sample accidentally. Whoever is coming in our way, we are taking them for collecting data. So they provide a means to conduct a study on the topics that can be examined with probability sampling. So this method is applied when there is no probability sampling technique can be applied. When the probability sampling technique cannot be used in the study, then we can go for convenience sampling technique. Next method is quota sampling method. So this method is also like cluster sampling technique, but it has some adequate feature. So we have seen the cluster sampling in the probability sampling technique, slight modification, and with the convenience sampling technique also there is some modification. So here the researcher uses a strategy to ensure that inclusion of subject types who are likely to be underrepresented in the convenience sample such as females, minority groups, the aged, the poor, the rich, illiterates, etc. So, in the convenience sample, we are collecting everyone without having any criteria. But in quota sampling, the researcher makes the criteria that I need 50 females, I need 50 minority group peoples like Christianity, Muslims, Sikh religion people, and I need age people. I need 50 age people. I need rich people whoever coming to the mall by car. So I need 50. I need illiterates 50. So like that, I make some quota, and based on that quota, by using convenience sampling technique, the researcher will select the sample. So the quota sampling is a method of stratified. This is like stratified sampling method which we used in the probability sampling technique. So here the strata is based on the criteria which we set. So in the previous what we have seen, the sample can be selected in a proportionate basis or disproportionate basis. But in quota sampling method, we do the sampling technique based on the proportionate level. In each category, like rich 50 people, in poor again 50, those who are coming in car 50 members. So like that we select in a equal number. So the best advantages are it is also inexpensive and it takes less time to collect more sample, and here also we no need sampling frame is not necessary, and field work can be easily organized and no need of strict supervision for this method. So these are the advantages of quota sampling technique. The next one is the purposive sampling technique. So we have some criteria. Based on that criteria, we select the sample. We are not selecting the sample who wants fulfill that criteria. This technique is also called as judgmental sampling or theoretical sampling. So based on the researcher's conscious selection, the sampling is done. The researcher knows everything, what I need, which sample I need to take. If that criteria is not fulfilled by that element, then we are not taking them in the study group. So the investigator is establishing a criteria. This criteria is representing the target population, and deliberately, that is wantedly, the researcher selects the subject according to this criteria. And another important thing, this is called judgment sample because the consciously the researcher is selecting the sample based on the design what he is using in the research, and based on choice, not based on the chance. The samples are selected on the base of choice, not on the base of chance. Okay. Next method is we have the advantages and demerits of uh, purposive sampling technique. The best advantage is less costly and more convenient method, and the result it guarantees the inclusion of relevant elements in the sample. As a result of taking purposive sampling technique, the best advantages we know that all the samples who we have selected had fulfilled the inclusion criteria of the samples. And demerits are sometimes these samples cannot be a representative of the population. There may be chance for error, less efficient for generalizing. Due to this, we cannot say that these samples will have same characteristics of the whole populations. And another disadvantage is it requires more prior extensive information about the population. When we want to take sample through purposive technique, we must have adequate knowledge about the population. Then only we can able to select the sample based on our choice. Next method is network sampling, or it is called a snowball sampling technique. So commonly used in the community area when the sample has to be collected in the large geographical area. The sampling is done from the subjects by identifying the referrals. Like for example, we have widows in a village. So we don't know who are all the widows in a village. So for that, what we can do, first we go to a village and find out one widow, and we ask them, do you know any other widow in this village? And they can able to tell, and from them we collect the address of the second widow and we go and meet and collect sample, and from them we get another widow's address and information and we go and meet it. So like this the samples are generated, the sample sizes increase. So another example is like grieving siblings. So those who, for example, though in a family, if any child without father or mother, so we go and find out that particular child. Through them, we identify similar child who is having the same problem, and we go and collect data from that particular referral sample. Okay, this sampling technique mainly used in sociometric studies, like sociological studies. We are utilizing that, and nowadays to find a corona contact, so this method is used. For example, if any one person in a village is having a positive corona, then the health worker is asking them who are all traveled with you during the time of the infection. So like that, we go and find out each and every sample in a community. So this is a network sampling or snowball sampling technique. Now the advantages and disadvantages are, the main advantage of this is very useful in studying social groups in a formal organization, etc. In a big organization, this can be applied to collect the sample who is having the specific characteristics, and it is also useful for smaller population where we are not able to have the sampling frame. The disadvantages, the elements included are dependent on the subjective choice of the original selected respondents. So what is the meaning means, like the elements from, they used to select the another element by his own choice. So original selected, like basically we cannot select, the researcher cannot select the sample by himself. So the samples subjective choices applied in selecting the sample in the snowball sampling technique. Another disadvantage is, this is very difficult to apply when the population size is very large. So in a small village, in a small organization, we can able to apply this. Now let's see the overall criteria for selecting a good sampling technique. There are some criteria that you need to follow to select a good sampling technique. The first one is purpose of the survey. For what purpose you are conducting the survey? So based on that purpose, the researcher knows that whether probability sampling technique has to be applied or non-probability sampling technique to be uh, used in this technique. Another important thing is, like the nature of the phenomena which we are studying. For example, you want to find the cause and effect relationship between independent variable and dependent variable, then better go for probability sampling technique. Just you want to study the nature of the phenomena, then you can go for non-probability sampling technique. When you want to know the cause and effect relationship, or when you want to generalize your finding to a population, then go for probability sampling technique. Just you want to study the nature of the phenomena, how it present, how it occurs. Just you want to know why it is there. So in that case, we want to do non-probability sampling techniques. The next criteria is measurability. So in measurability, the researcher decides whether to go for simple random or stratified random sampling technique based on the required statistical inference. For example, I need to have a clear picture about a particular community's point of view regarding a government performance, then we need to go for stratified random sampling technique. So in the stratified sampling technique only we can able to access homogeneous population, and when we have different strata, easily we can able to get the information from every areas. So in that case, we go for stratified random sample. Just we want to measure something, then go for simple random sampling method. Next one is degree of precision. When a huge degree of precision of the results would serve the purpose, convenient sampling technique or quota sampling technique can be enough. When you need a result based on very large sample size, then you must go for convenient sampling method or you must go for quota sampling technique. The fourth one is information about the population. When you don't have population related information like sampling frame, then we must go for non-probability sampling techniques. When we have complete information about the population, like when you have a sampling frame, then do probability sampling methods. The fifth criteria is the nature of the population. That is, the population is homogeneous or heterogeneous. When the population is homogeneous, we go for random sampling technique. If the population is heterogeneous, like the population is not uniform, then we go for multi-stage sampling method. So there we can apply the non-probability sampling technique. Next one is geographical area of the study and the size of the population. Same, when we have small sample size, we can do the sampling by using probability sampling techniques. When we need to conduct a study all over India, then we can go for multi-stage random sampling technique. So here in different stages we use different sampling methods. So the next criteria is financial resources. When we have more amount of money, when we have more amount of time, when the finance is not a constraint, then we can go for probability sampling techniques. When we have limited amount of money, then we can go for multi-stage. In that we can use cluster sampling technique or quota sampling technique. So you know what is cluster sampling. Yesterday I told in different districts of Haryana, we need to collect sample, that is cluster sampling technique. Quota sampling, today we have seen that. So it is a modified version of convenience sampling technique. So conveniently we select the sample by making some quota like religion, this one socioeconomic status, gender, like that. The eighth criteria is time limitation. The time, how much you are having in your hand, tells that which type of method will be applied. When you have adequate time to collect sample, go for probability sampling technique. When you have less time to collect sample, then you choose the non-random this one non-probability sampling technique. So this is about time limitation. So the last one, the sample size. The sample size which we need is decided based on a statistical analysis called power analysis. Power analysis is the statistical test which tells the capacity of the study to detect difference or relationship that actually exists in the population. So the power analysis will tell how much difference is present in your research between the populations. Otherwise, the power analysis is explained as that is, it is a capacity to correctly reject a null hypothesis for a researcher. The capacity to correctly reject a null hypothesis for a researcher is called power analysis. That is, at which how much percentage we can say this is not happened because of that particular variable. So that is power analysis. So factors that influence the sample size includes the effect size. The effect size which we have seen is the power, the type of study, experimental study or non-experimental study or quasi-experimental, or the number of variable. Based on the number of variable you need to examine, that also tells which sampling method you can apply. Also, That can be the sample size can be determined by the sensitivity of the measurement tools. When you measure about the sexual workers' attitude, then we will go for snowball sampling. So based on the sensitivity of the tool which we are using to collect data, the sample size, the sampling technique can be finalized and based on the data analysis technique. So which type of analysis you are going to follow, that helps to select your sampling techniques. So this is about sampling and sampling technique we have seen, and finally we concluded with sample size. So now I am completing my sampling technique. In next video, we will see how to estimate the sample size. Still then, you just read and you get more knowledge about sampling process, sampling technique, and characteristics of a good sample. Meet you again with another interesting question, estimation of sample size. Take care. Bye bye.